social networking today. So
Sunday.
I want to start by defining what a learning organization is. And this is very relevant to what we started out talking about yesterday, because good learning organizations are all very good at one thing, and that is managing information. You've got to be good at managing information to be a good learning organization. Good learning organizations are very good at two things. That's the vertical axis here. They're very good at independent problem solving. So good learning organization is very good at solving problems.
Project
And
management.
it's also good at continuously innovating and adapting over time. So think about independent problem solving as something you do in the present. They're very good when a problem arises, they deal with it, but they're also very good at putting in place the potential for solutions on a long-term basis. How do you do that? Well, the answer is it's through good networking, right? So it's through the good internal integration of information. That's internal networking in organizations. So if there is a problem, good learning organizations know where to look for the answer to that problem because they're good at integrating internal knowledge. Notice today, there's a lot of knowledge in this room that people in this room could benefit from, right? And we talked earlier in the program about the idea of transactive memory. What's a transactive memory? It's the ability of an organization to know where information is located. What we just did actually was we started building a transactive memory for this class because we helped all of you understand where there was some very important information that would be useful for you in terms of solving problems for you. So good learning organizations are very good at creating internal connections to take advantage of information which is available in the organization. They're also very good at networking externally. Right? If all you do is network internally, then you are limiting your ability to grow informationally. So you've also got to be networked externally. You've got to connect with people outside of your organization. So good learning organizations are good at integrating. That's networking internally. They're also good at externally integrating. That is reaching out and renewing their information resources over time by virtue of their external connections. By the way, a good example of this is all of you in this program today. Because by virtue of you being in this program today, you are externally networking for your own organizations. Not only are you learning things from us, you are also meeting other people in this organization who obviously have information and that you can benefit from. So the idea of internal networking is to integrate within the organization. The point of external networking is to renew connections and to increase the storehouse of knowledge that you have access to. Right, so good learning organizations are good at both internal and external networking. So the big distinction that I want to talk about in this is the distinction between human capital and social capital. So human capital is each employee's unique constellation of experience, expertise, and perspective. We talked about that yesterday. It's what you know. Everybody brings a little something different to the table. That's their human capital. Your social capital is who you know. It's all these people you either network internally to in your organization or externally to. And remember, you don't have to know everything as long as you know the people who know the things that you don't know. Right? So you don't have to know about computers as long as you know somebody who knows about computers. You don't have to know about golf as long as you know somebody who knows about golf. So you don't have to be an expert at everything as long as you know where there are people who are experts on the things that you need to know. So good learning organizations grow human capital, but they also create social capital. Because if you have a problem that needs to be solved, your first recourse for solving that problem is your own human capital. Do I have the information to solve that problem? But your next best recourse is the simple question, do you know someone who knows the answer? Do you have access to an individual who can help you solve that particular problem? So in a good learning organizations try and create both internal and external network connections to try and make it the case that if you have a problem that needs to be solved, you will either have the information or know where you can get it, either internally or externally. And we can think about that as another form of synergy. Synergy occurs because it's more than just you. You know how to solve problems that are beyond your expertise by virtue of knowing other people who are experts. So, think about it in terms of internal learning networks. That's like in our organization. One of the things we just did today is we tried to connect all of you, right? So we asked you for things that you needed, And we showed you where in the class there are people who have that information. So part of this exercise was to increase the internal social networking in this organization. By the way, there's some other things we've done in the program in the last 2 days to increase internal network connections. What are the things that we've done to help increase? Group work. One of the points of group work is to get you to meet with different people. And when Maggie and I run programs, we always try very hard to make sure that we put you in lots of different groups so that by the time you leave the program, hopefully, you will have been in different groups with almost everyone in this room. In fact, we run programs at Stanford. Maggie actually has someone whose entire job, the week we run the program, is to make sure that you are never in a group with the same people twice. Her job is literally, every time we do an exercise, she makes sure everybody ends up in a group that has people that they haven't met yet, so that by the end of the week, you have internally networked with everyone in the organization. And remember, the point of this is it's not only growing your human capital by being in these groups, right? You put you in these groups and you learn things from people that you didn't know. That grows your human capital, but you also get to know who has expertise that you don't have. That grows your social capital. So, maybe I'm in a group with Rashad, and Rashad says something to me that makes me realize something I didn't realize. That grows my human capital. But I also now recognize that he has expertise, that if I ever have more questions about that area, I now know he is the person to contact to get more information about that problem. So when we do this networking, we are increasing your human capital, but we're also increasing your social capital. And remember, really good organizations try and increase the transactive memory of the organization, which means not only socially networking, but socially networking in a way that helps people understand where information is in the organization. Because the better you know where information is, the easier it is to get that information. I mean, how many people knew where all this information was? Think about how much information we uncovered in the context of this exercise today, right? A lot of you had issues you'd love to get help with. Turns out there's lots of people in this class who could help you with those issues. But they're only going to help you if you know that they can help you. And the only way you're going to know that is if we have good transactive memory in our organization. That is, we've developed a sense of who has what information so that when you have a problem that needs to be solved, you will know where to look for that solution. We can also think about this in terms of external networks. So in any organization, there's lots of external people you might be connected to. Think about this organization. We have clients, we have suppliers, we have colleagues, there are conferences, trainers. All of these are potential sources of information that we might externally network with that can help us solve problems. And the point of social networking is to not reinvent the wheel. One of the reasons that we want social networking, one of the reasons for something like this, is that some of you could have spent a lot of time trying to find the answers to your questions. But if you knew who to ask in this organization of ours, in the classroom today, you could have gotten help answering that question very, very quickly. Right, so the point of social networking is to not waste time reinventing the wheel. Social networking provides access to solutions, and that helps shorten the learning curve to institutionalize success. Right, so if you're a good learning organization, that means that you make it clear to everybody. You can try to help people understand where the information is so they can find solutions faster, and that means they don't spin their wheels trying to reinvent the wheel. Okay, one of the challenges to social networking is something called a fault line. A fault line is a characteristic which differentiates among people in an organization. So let's take some examples of what might be fault line characteristics in an organization. Somebody actually brought this up today. They said that one of the interesting things about class, who said this, is that people are, yes, why don't you repeat it, Ali?
I call this the herding theory. Like whenever I travel, the herding theory.
Okay.
Like when I traveled first to Edinburgh, for example, I was trying to socialize with British people, but I found myself trying to it was like a magnet to get closer to Arabs because they are of my race and stuff. And I noticed that in class, we are Kaust people here, and then Aramco people is scattered in the middle, Darul Hikmah people is over there, and then there are internationals over there.
Ali, why do you think that happens?
You feel more comfortable. You're trying to feel comfortable.
People are most comfortable with people who are similar to them.